Hey gorgeous, this is episode number 129.
Well, hello, this is Cloris Kylie, and you're listening to HeartSells podcast with Christine Schlonski. Enjoy.
I'm so excited that I have Cloris Kylie on the show today. She is a #1 international best-selling author of the book Beyond Influencer Marketing. And that is what she does. She helps service entrepreneurs grow their business by building long-lasting connections with influencers, which she has done for years. And she is so very good at it. So I'm so excited today to get to share her knowledge with you. So have a lot of fun. If you want more information, all the links to Cloris are at christineschlonski.com. Find the podcast tab and there are the show notes, the transcript, and all the links that lead to Cloris so you can connect with your first influencer. Have fun tuning in. Well, Cloris, I am so super excited to have you on HeartSells today. And it's such a pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to a great interview with you because your topic is amazing. I was always fascinated once I came across your work because you talk about influencer marketing. And I think it's so important, especially for sales, to not only surround you with the right people in your business, but also with people that give you the social proof. So I'm really looking to dive in, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Christine.
Wonderful. So how did you get the idea of going right into influencer marketing? What was the key turning point that you said, well, this is my topic?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like everything in business. It was kind of like it developed slowly and organically. And it happened because I had been at a point in my business that I was really ready to quit. Like I remember waking up after another day working 14 hours and not sleeping well and just saying, why am I doing this? Because I used to have an offline business. It was a local academic coaching business. I was working with students, high school students, college students. I had a roster of tutors working for me. It was fine. And then I made this decision to go and have a business online, be a coach. And at that time, I wanted to be a life coach. And things were just not working. And I was working so hard, publishing content every day, blog posts, and I had an online radio show. And it was just so much work. And still, I only had probably a dozen readers and a couple listeners of my show. As I said, why am I doing this? So that's when, first I had to recover from that. And then I started to look for opportunities. Okay, what can I do? Because, that Dr. Wayne Dyer is one of my first mentors, and his message has been with me all this time. And he always said, when you have a burning desire, you really gather the energy to keep going. So I had that burning desire. And that's what I think that what allowed me to keep looking. I was just kind of keeping my eyes open for opportunities. And then I started to notice that people were saying, I was a guest on this podcast. And I published my article on this blog. I would see that on social media. I remember the first one was on LinkedIn. And I said, wow, why don't I do that too? Why haven't I tried to collaborate with people? So that's when I first started to welcome guests to my show. I reached out to blogs that I would see that people really liked in the personal development space. The first one was Tiny Buddha. And I just saw the possibilities. Once I started to bring in guests, to be a guest, to post my articles where there were millions of readers already, then things really changed. So I started to feel good about myself, about the possibilities for this business. I started to see the people reach out to me, clients come in. It was completely different. And I didn't really reflect on that for a while. It was only when I looked back and I said, oh my God, if it hadn't been for my connections, I probably would have just quit and gone back to my old business. So that's when I said, I really need to share this message with people. That's when I wrote my book, Beyond Influencer Marketing, started the podcast, the same focus. And now everything I do is is focused on that, on how to teach people to really do this, how to implement an influencer marketing strategy in their business, and most importantly, like how to build those long-term connections. So it's not just like a promo you do with an Instagram star and then it's over.
Yeah, I love that. And I think so many entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs to be like solopreneurs, when they start out, they don't even have that perspective. They're so busy with figuring out who to serve, who is their ideal client, what do they want to offer, that they totally overlook all these opportunities, and they work and work and work. But you will never make it all by yourself. There is no overnight success, and there is no person that made it who just made it by themselves. It's all connections. It's all having people supporting you and supporting others with their success, what makes it actually happen. And today, you have your wonderful book, Beyond Influencer Marketing, and also really, really awesome podcast that I highly recommend, that I will put in the show notes as well. And you are also providing us with a free guide, 15 proven ways to be noticed by influencers. Because I think if you are still a nobody in the market, then an influencer is not going to look at you because they don't even know you. So that's the first step, right? To get on that train to success, is you have to do something so they even notice you. What would you say can people do if they are hearing of that like the very first time? Or you can do guest blogs, you can do on podcasts. What is a thing that might not be totally intimidating they could do today to get that idea growing and doing the first step in the right direction?
I hear you. Yes. I mean, the first thing is to realize that not all influencers are created equal. So you really have to connect with the right people. Because remember, we're not here to collect connections. You see people on LinkedIn and Facebook just kind of adding people left and right, and they don't even know who these people are, right? Even influencers. It's about having a small group of people who have influence in your field, who you want to support 100%, who can become supporters and allies then in the future, right? So you got to really figure out, okay, who is the perfect connection for me? Number one, because they reach exactly the same audience I want to reach, right? So that's a must. And you must know who you want to serve for that and really know the audience and their problems, whether you can deliver value to that audience, because that's probably the core of what you can do as a form of collaboration with the influencer. And then realize that, even if it's a perfect match in regard to audience, that influencer might not have the same values and style that you have. So it could be great, but then let's say, for example, you land an appearance on somebody's podcast, and they have a completely different style. They're, kind of like all over the place, saying jokes and stuff, and you're more like a serious person, and then you show up with your serious presentation. The listeners will really not like you, right? They will not want to continue. You get to know more about you. So you really have to know, okay, is this person somebody I would want to hang out with because we have a lot in common, we can relate to each other's maybe stories and beginnings, something that you feel like, okay, I have this connection with this influencer. I know we haven't really met yet, but I feel like I really want to get to know them better. I really want to support their message. And that's how you start. You start by figuring out how you can best deliver value to that influencer. So in that guide I'm giving you with a link, you will have like different ideas that you can use to get started. So for example, if somebody has just published a book, they're looking for reviews on Amazon, right? That's what matters to them the most. So then you go and post a review, and then you reach out to them and say, I read your book. This is what I love the most about it. And I just posted a review. So immediately you kind of are in the radar of that influencer. And of course, you cannot quit there. You have to keep kind of stacking value on top of value until that person starts to recognize your name and see you and say, oh, yeah, that's Cloris. She's been supporting me all this time. And that's what I have done with many of my influencer connections, especially at the beginning. So by the time I was ready to ask, can I be on your show, or can you be on my show, and so forth. It was a quick yes, just because I had taken the time to deliver value to them in many ways, as much as I could.
Yeah, you made it about a real connection,
Mm.
right? And I love what you said was just adding people to the left and to the right on LinkedIn or Facebook. It's something I love to connect. On LinkedIn, if somebody wants to connect and they can't even write a couple sentences, I'm not interested. I mean, I'm not a collector of names. I want that connection, right? And the same on Facebook. If I accept the friend request, I send them a message. So, and many people don't get back, which, it's kind of disappointing if they don't even see you accepted the friend request and you sent a message, which shows you right away that it's not meant for a deeper connection.
Right.
Just, we have 20 friends in common, so let's send a friend request kind of thing. Which, if you are looking for more connection, that's not the right way to go.
It's true. And that is your first impression, believe it or not. Online, that first step you take, that first response, in your mind, Christine, when somebody asks you as a friend, you send a message with the best intentions and you don't hear from them, immediately that's the first impression. It's like, oh, maybe I don't want to learn more about this person because look at how he or she is treating me. So the same applies, online. And when we meet people face to face, it's about showing them that we really care about them. That's what it's about.
Yeah. And I think when you look at influencers, successful people that get a lot of support, you can see that these people have those connections. And these people have invested the time to maintain the connections, to nurture the connections, to make sure they stay in touch. And it's not, you've been on my show. Oh, great. Now it's done and I'm going to forget about you. Right. It's really because we are interested. And I think we both talk the same language there, because that makes life so much more interesting and beautiful if you really get to know a person on a deeper level.
Yeah, that is true. For the book Beyond Influencer Marketing, I wanted to have stories of people who have achieved kind of like a similar result, of course, in their own way and in their own industry. So I wanted to have those stories. But if I had just kind of forgotten about all my connections and I hadn't nurtured them and stayed in touch, it would have been really hard just to reach out to people because I had to write an actual, long story. But when I reached out to my connections, at least the ones who I thought could deliver the most value, they quickly said, yes, write a story for your book. They wanted to support the book and, be there for me. So I had all these awesome stories and people who have very different focus, different industries, and yet they found that perfect way for them to share their message in an existing platform. I remember one person, she started by just blogging, doing guest blogging for a large blog. And then her business kind of skyrocketed after that. People don't realize the power of a guest post. It could bring you thousands of subscribers if you do it right. Same thing with, summit appearances or a podcast guest appearances, things that you can do early in the relationship, like even for podcasters. I have gotten requests from a guest who I never knew before, but because they reached out to me in a very customized way, that they really knew about my show, then I said, yes, let's have you on the show. And from there, a relationship started. But, you got to make sure that once you want to deliver value, that's the most important thing, that you really know the influencer, that you show it, and that you have that match of values, style, and audience.
Yeah, I love that. And it happened to me as well, that people are reaching out to be on HeartSells, which I find totally amazing. And there are some that write such beautiful messages where, they have listened to your show, they have checked you out and know where else might you be in the same group or have the same connection or maybe taken the same online course or something.
Right.
And that changes the whole game, because all of a sudden you feel like, oh, they are interested. So I'm also interested in getting to know them. And, beautiful things can develop. So I would always encourage people to go for deeper relationships. So how did your business evolve? Like when you made that discovery, like when we look at your business today, like how would you describe that in comparison to when you were at the point where you want to quit?
Well, first, I feel now that I had been on these platforms that were already existing, that were large platforms, then I had social proof, right? I could say, okay, I've been on this show, I've been my articles have been posted on Tiny Buddha, Addicted to Success. I could name places where I had written, so I had proof to reach out to other bloggers, to other influencers, and also to clients. When people see, oh yeah, she has been featured on TV and podcasts and YouTube and everywhere, people start to trust you more. And also those audiences, because, remember, the most powerful way to get a client is through a referral, right? So these are like referrals on steroids. So it's like a group referral, right? An influencer is telling their audience, hey, listen to what Cloris has to say. It's valuable. They immediately want to listen. They trust you. So I was able to then connect with that audience at a much deeper level. And it's a huge, huge difference because I try to do Facebook ads when I was going through all this, transition. Oh, should I do Facebook ads? So I was spending all this money and people would come in and immediately unsubscribe. There was no connection or trust at the beginning. I really had to prove myself. So it took a while to get their trust. And it wasn't nearly as effective as somebody introducing me to their audience. People sign up for my list and they really know me. They feel like they know me. They've listened to my messages, watch me on a show or whatever. They're much more likely to want to work with me. And then once that started, then it's kind of like a snowball effect. People start to introduce you to other influencers. They start to send you referrals. You find ways to collaborate at a higher level, such as maybe a JV webinar or, creating a course together. Things are, of course, once you have that relationship is matured. So then you see all these opportunities that come your way and clients seek you. So it's a very different situation than you kind of putting out Facebook ads and hoping that, people join your list and then buy from you. And it's very different when you've been introduced by somebody who has that authority and that influence and that on that audience.
Yeah, I totally agree because people can see these are people that have already a certain level of success. So
Right.
if they are hanging out with you, you must have something, right, that makes you interesting for them. Because
Yeah,
if you,
exactly.
if you have testimonials of your clients and you publish something of, I don't know, John Smith, and he says you are super amazing, but nobody knows who he is, then it does not have the same effect than if somebody that they might know in their industry collaborates with you.
Yeah, exactly. I always think about Dan Locke. I don't know if you've checked his work. Is LOK, and I think is so interesting. He has a very different style than mine, but I love watching his show. And he was talking about his beginnings as a copywriter. So he said, I was young in my early 20s. I was just starting out, and nobody wanted to pay me for copywriting services. So he said, I went out and interviewed all the top copywriters. And he put together a series of tape recordings. So it was back in the day, it was all tape. And the interviews were on tape, and then he recorded his own interview. So then he created this course with all of the top copywriters' interviews, and his interview included in the whole program. And he said, can you guess how many courses I sold? And the answer is 0. I didn't sell any courses, but I didn't care because every time I would approach a new client, I would say, hey, I have this course with X and Y copywriter, and you can have it for free. And the client was like, oh my God, this is great. You have a course with these top influencers in copywriting. I want to work with you. So that just shows you the impact it's basically borrowing influence from those top influencers.
Yeah, yeah. And you did bring us some steps we can go into, but unfortunately, time just flies when you have fun. And I'm so happy that we were able to schedule a next episode. So let's just finish this off before we dive into the next one. What was the first thing that you have ever sold in your life?
The first thing I ever sold was a series of little stuffed witches, believe it or not. And I was in elementary school. I loved the witches. So I told my mom I want to sell them to my classmates. And we bought 40 of them. So I brought them to school and all the girls were like, oh, these are so cute. So I ended up selling only a few because the more I sold them, the more I realized that I really liked them and I wanted to keep them. So I just sold a few and said, no, I'm just going to keep the rest.
But that's really great. And how did you feel when you received money for that? How did it feel to receive money?
Well, it was just empowering, I felt like, wow, this is great. I can actually, because of course I was getting a profit from the sale. So I felt empowered. I remember I saved it. I've always been a saver. And then I had that money later on when I wanted to buy myself a gift. But yeah, it was quite empowering.
Cool. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for all the knowledge you already shared with us. And as I said, I'm so super pumped that I get a second interview so we can share even more amazing steps of how to connect with influencers and how to go about the whole topic. And I just want to invite people to check out the show notes because we're going to put all the resources, all the links that lead to you. They're just one click away. But tell us really quickly, where can people find you if they need to look you up right now to get your amazing guide?
Yeah, thanks, Christine. You can go to ClorisKylie.com to check out more about who I am. But also, if you want to grab the guide, you can go to ClorisKylie.com/HeartSells. I just created a special page for you so you can get that guide with 15 ways to get noticed by influencers.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to continue this wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
So gorgeous. Are you going to implement? Influencer marketing can be very, very important for you and your business because remember, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So the more rockstar people you have in your network, the more time you spend with them, the more you will be able to up-level your life and your business. And this is a wonderful, wonderful thing for not just you, but everybody around you because happy people make people happy. I really hope you enjoyed this episode with Cloris. Hop on over to christineschlonski.com, find the podcast tab, and there you have all the links that lead directly to Cloris with just one click, as well as the show notes and the transcript. So you can have a look right over there by hopping over to christineschlonski.com/podcast. While you are on the page, sign up for the empowerment notes. This is weekly empowerment right into your inbox where I share insights that I have learned, where I just share latest things, amazing offers, anything that's going on right now. So you are staying in the loop. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in this beautiful world. And I'm saying bye for now.